All right, so before we continue on with our third person game design prototyping series here, I wanted to take a minute and talk about Git and the Git workflow. So I've been sort of showing my work with Git and sort of not, but for this week, I really wanted to make sure to emphasize what I'm doing with GitHub because I want us to try something new that we can then incorporate in class. So before you start the next working along with the tutorial for the next video or the next few videos here, I would like you to in your GitHub desktop, I want you to make a new branch. And so you can see this website here that GitHub has made. It's going to kind of give you a good overview of what we're going to do. So normally you make commits in this sort of linear path. This would be like master. So if we look at our GitHub history here, these are like our line of commits, the series of commits over time. That's our history, right? That's all on the master branch, by default at least. But what we're going to experiment with is branching off. So if this line is master, we'll branch off onto a new path here, which we'll name based on the next feature that we're going to implement. We'll make commits on this new branch, and then when we're done with it, we'll open what's called a pull request, where we will describe what the change we made on this branch was for, and hopefully be able to assign a reviewer. If you're in class, we'll definitely do that. If you're online, just some random person on the internet who stumbled across this, maybe you can find someone else to review your work. And once your pull request is approved, we'll merge it back into master. And so I guess it's called a pull request is because you're requesting that master pulls your work back in. So that's just the overview. I don't want to go into it too much right now because we're not going to have to deal with the pull request and the code review stuff until the end of this process. Right now we're just beginning it. So what we'll do is we'll go into our GitHub desktop, make sure you're on the correct branch, you're all up to date and everything, and we're going to make a new branch. And I think that the best workflow for this is to name the branch after the feature that you plan on implementing. And so what I'm going to do next in the video series is talk about the observer pattern, and we're going to create a contextual message trigger. So I'll call it contextual message trigger. And I'm pretty sure you can't have spaces in your branch names, so I used the dash, and you can't use Pascal case either, I don't think. So that's why we have all lowercase with the little dashes separating our words. So again, what I see a lot of times students will do here is they'll name their branch, like if they're working on a team project, they'll name their branch after their own name or something like that, or they'll call it like test, or I don't know, who knows. But the best practice, in my opinion, is to name your new branch after your feature. As soon as your feature's done, open the pull request and merge it back in. So that's what we're going to do here. So I'm just going to create the branch, and then I think we can stop this video here, and in the next video, we will talk about actually how we're going to implement this thing. So when I was about to render this video, I realized I didn't really explain why you'd ever want to make a branch. And I figured maybe that was important to talk about. So typically, if I was on a single person project, like it's just me developing a game prototype, I would not, trouble myself with branching and merging and opening pull requests for nobody but myself to review. This is for like a larger team situation or an open source project. So if you imagine an open source project, we can't just let anybody change master anytime they want. And so instead we let anybody fork the project, essentially making their own new branch, implement whatever change they want to make, and then open that pull request to ask permission to merge their change into master. So that's one reason, would be so that anonymous people can make contributions. Another reason would be on like just a larger team project, a more formal project. You may want to have more strict control over what's being integrated into master. You might want to have a series of continuous integration tests that happen to verify that the code is up to par, and you might want to test it yourself with a QA department to make sure that it's doing what it's advertised to do, without introducing new bugs before you would merge it into the actual master branch. So those are some of the reasons you would do it. I guess another reason could be it might help you kind of stay focused in your own little world while you work on your feature without worrying too much about what other people are doing in master. But there are risks with this, because ultimately you do have to reintegrate your work with master. So if you would, say, get a conflict in a scene file or something that's difficult to merge, that can be problematic. So in the context of Unity, it's not exactly super safe to leave your branch out for a long time before you worry about reintegrating with master. So in general, in a game project and a Unity project, if we're using branches, we want to make sure that we complete our feature and merge back in a timely way, and maintain good communication with our team, so that we don't get some kind of crazy merge conflict that causes somebody to pull their hair out or lose a bunch of work. All right, that's really the end. See you in the next video.